Brunei covers 5,765 square kilometers. Chinese merchants were trading here before the Sultanate had a name. The Sultanate eventually grew powerful enough to control most of Borneo and the Philippines. Then it contracted. What remained was a rainforest, a coastline, a royal institution that never broke, and a table built from all of it. These are 10 foods born here. Ambuyat. Ambuyat is Brunei's national dish, and it predates the Sultanate's written records. Before rice spread through the interior of Borneo, communities living among the island's sago palms had already built a food system around them. The trunk of the rumbia, a palm that grows in Brunei's swampy lowlands, is cut open, the pith beaten and washed until only raw starch remains. That starch is dissolved in boiling water and stirred continuously until it becomes translucent, elastic, and nearly gelatinous, a texture with no equivalent in other preparations. It is eaten with a two-pronged bamboo utensil called a candice, twirled and dipped into kaka, fermented durian, shrimp paste, tamarind, and chili. The candice is not a utensil, it is the method. Without it, the preparation cannot be eaten at all. Nasi katok. Nasi katok started at a window in the Mabohai area of Bandar Seri Begawan in the 1980s. A Chinese family sold rice from their flat. Steamed white rice, a piece of fried chicken, sambal, wrapped in brown paper, available late into the night. Customers knocked on the window to order. That knock became the name. Katok means knock. The brown paper wrap is not packaging. It is the format the dish was built for. A portable meal for people who needed to eat after dark and keep moving. The price held at 1 Brunei dollar for decades, unchanged even as the country's oil revenues grew around it. The gap between Brunei's wealth and this dish's deliberate simplicity is part of what made it permanent. It is now available 24 hours a day, everywhere, and the brown paper has never changed. Kalupis. Kalupis is made from glutinous rice cooked in coconut milk, wrapped tightly in dan nirik, a leaf from the Facilifrenium plant, tied individually, and boiled until the leaf bonds with the rice. The nirik is not interchangeable. Its aromatic compounds transfer into the rice during cooking, and its structural strength holds the compression that gives kalupis its density. Substitute banana leaf and the flavor changes. The texture changes. The leaf is an ingredient, not a vessel. Kalupis belongs to the Kedayan and Bisaya communities of Brunei and Borneo, passed between generations as a ceremonial preparation for weddings, Hari Raya, and harvest gatherings. It migrated from ceremony to daily market life, but the construction never simplified. Each piece is still wrapped and tied by hand, a process that takes 6 to 7 hours per 100 pieces. There's still a whole world out there we haven't explored yet. So if you want to see where we go next, make sure you subscribe, and tell me in the comments where we should travel next. Penyaram. Penyaram is a fried rice flour cake built from 3 things: rice flour, palm sugar, and water. The batter is poured into a small, hot, oil-filled wok, where it spreads outward and floats, the edges crisping and darkening while the center domes upward, soft and chewy. That structure, flat, wavy rim, raised, yielding center, is not decorative. It is the direct result of the fry technique and the gula apong, a liquid palm sugar native to Borneo's nipa palms, which caramelizes faster than refined sugar and produces the dark brown color and concentrated sweetness the cake is known for. Penyaram belongs to the Kedayan and Bruneian Malay communities and appeared as a ceremonial food during rice harvests and community gatherings. The harvests that once defined when it was made have contracted. The markets and Ramadan bazaars have not. Quimor appeared in Brunei in the 1940s when paddy cultivation was central enough to daily life that rice flour was the base for most household confectionery. Early versions were made with rice flour and oil, 3 ingredients, pressed into small balls and baked. The recipe shifted over time toward wheat flour and ghee, producing a cookie that is denser in fat, finer in crumb, and more precisely melt in the mouth than its predecessor. The flour is dry roasted before mixing, a step that removes moisture and produces a crumble so complete the cookie begins dissolving the moment it touches the tongue. Kuih more belongs to Hari Raya. It is made in large batches in family kitchens, distributed to guests, and used as a door gift at Malay weddings. The calendar determines when it exists. Outside of the season, it is almost absent. Serunding. Serunding is a preservation technique disguised as a dish. Beef or fish is boiled until tender, then shredded finely and returned to a wok with coconut milk, lemongrass, galangal, turmeric, and chilies, and cooked slowly until every drop of moisture has evaporated. The fibers separate, caramelize, and stiffen into a dry, shelf-stable floss that requires no refrigeration and can last for weeks. That was the point. Serunding was built for travel and for celebration in a pre-refrigeration world, a protein that could be carried, stored, and served at feasts alongside ketupat and rice. The spice profile, turmeric, galangal, lemongrass, maps directly onto Brunei's position along Malay maritime trade routes, where these aromatics moved as currency. The preservation need has passed. The dish remains, served at Hari Raya and community feasts, as a constant on tables that no longer require it to last. Kuih cincin. Kuih cincin means ring cake. The name is the shape and the shape is the technique. Rice flour, palm sugar derived from the nipa palm sap, and water are combined into a batter, piped or pressed into rings, and deep fried twice, once to set the structure, once to build the crust. 2 frying passes produce 2 layers of texture, a hard outer shell and a denser, chewier interior. The nipa palm sugar, called niham, gives the cookie its dark brown color and its particular sweetness. More molasses forward than cane sugar, with a slightly smoky edge that refined sugar cannot replicate. Kuih cincin belongs to the Bruneian Malay community, sold in bulk at markets and given as gifts during celebrations. The ring was a practical shape before it was a symbolic one. The hollow center ensures even heat penetration during frying. The structure solved a technical problem. The tradition built around it came after. Soto Brunei. Soto as a soup tradition originated in the Indonesian archipelago, shaped by Hokkien Chinese trade influence and dispersed across maritime Southeast Asia over centuries. What arrived in Brunei was localized until it became something the island owned. Brunei's version is built on a turmeric-forward broth, aromatic with lemongrass, galangal, ginger, cinnamon, and aniseed, lighter than Indonesian coconut milk versions, less dominated by any single spice. Shredded chicken or beef is added to the broth, served over rice vermicelli with a hard-boiled egg, crispy fried shallots, and a wedge of lime. The sambal arrives on the side, applied by the diner rather than cooked in, keeping the broth clean. Soto Brunei is a morning dish, sold at breakfast markets and hawker stalls that open before the city does. The turmeric broth is the decision that made it Bruneian. That decision is now fixed. Ikan bakar. Ikan bakar means burned fish. The preparation belongs to Brunei's riverine and coastal communities, accumulated across generations, rather than invented in a single moment. A whole fish, mackerel, stingray, or whatever the morning's catch produced, is butterflied or scored and rubbed with a paste of turmeric, lemongrass, shallots, and chilies. Turmeric here is not only flavoring. Applied to raw fish, its curcumin compounds slow bacterial growth, a preservation function built into the marinade before anyone had language for it. The fish is grilled over coconut husk charcoal, which burns hotter and longer than wood, and contributes a smoke profile that other fuels do not replicate. The exterior chars, the interior holds its moisture. It is served with sambal and lime at open-air restaurants along the river and waterfront, where the fuel and the fish and the method have remained unchanged. Pulut panggang. Pulut panggang is glutinous rice, pressed around a filling of dried shrimp, shallots, and coconut, wrapped tightly in banana leaf, and grilled directly over charcoal until the leaf chars and the rice inside develops a firm crust and a smoky outer layer. The filling is the savory interior the rice was built to carry. Dried shrimp pounded with coconut and aromatics, dense and concentrated. The banana leaf is both container and cooking surface. It controls the heat around the rice, transfers its own grassy fragrance into the grain, and chars at the edges in a way that signals when the interior is done. Pulut panggang is a Kedayan and Bruneian Malay preparation made for markets, sold as a breakfast snack, and given as a ceremonial food at gatherings. The grilling method is what separates it from steamed rice preparations. The char is not a side effect. It is what the dish is. A rainforest built a national dish from a palm trunk. A knock on a window named another. Brunei lost most of its territory over 4 centuries. The Sultanate that once controlled Borneo and the Philippines contracted to a fraction of what it was. The table never followed. Every outside ingredient that arrived here, through the spice routes, the Chinese merchants, the Malay trade networks, left through the kitchen as something else entirely. 5,765 square kilometers. One of the smallest countries in Southeast Asia.